The war in Ukraine has grown into a turning point for the world, pushing nations to their limits and testing the power of diplomacy. Russian forces, now backed by North Korean troops, are advancing deeper into the Kursk region, saying they have trapped thousands of Ukrainian soldiers. Ukraine, meanwhile, faces life-or-death moment. Cut off from US military help, it's turning into its own ideas and European support to keep going. This isn't just a fight for land, it's a battle over belief, economies, and the future of how the world works. Welcome to Express Your Shot, guys. Today, we have curated a special report about the war in Ukraine for you guys. This report is divided into 7 parts. So let's get started. Part 1. The battlefield. The fighting had changed a lot. Russian troops, once slowed by Ukrainian drones, are now using tricky moves to avoid being spotted. Near Sudzha, Russian special forces snuck through a 9-mile gas pipe to surprise Ukrainian units. It didn't work out. They took heavy losses, but it shows their plan. Surround and wear down Ukrainians' army. By taking back villages in Kursk area, Russia wants to block Ukrainian supplies and break their spirit. Ukraine's military, though outmatched, isn't giving up. With US aid stopped under President Trump's America First approach, Kyiv is relying on its own inventions. Factories that used to make farm tools are now building drones and artillery shields. Ordinary people, teachers, engineers, even students are pitching in, creating a home-made weapons surge. We're learning to survive without false hope, a Ukrainian officer says. Still, they're missing key tools. Without Western long-range missiles, it's tough to hold back at Russia's big guns. Both sides are finding ways to deal with modern war challenges. Russia, trying to hide from drones, has gold old-school horses and donkeys carrying supplies across icy grounds. It's a big contrast to Ukraine's tech-focused fight, where cheap drones take out pricey tanks. This war is about lasting longer than the other side, where new ideas and grit matter just as much as the bullets. Part 2. The US withdrawal. The biggest shakeup comes from the United States. President Donald Trump has stopped sending weapons and sharing intelligence, leaving Ukraine in a tough spot. Ukraine may not survive, Trump said, calling it a practical move to push for peace, but may seem it like a risky choice. Former NATO leader Andres Fogh-Rasmussen says pulling back could encourage Russia to go after Moldova, Georgia, or even the Baltic states next. This shift exploded into the open during heated White House meeting on February 28, 2025. Trump and Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky clashed in front of cameras in the Oval Office, a shouting match that went viral on social media. Trump accused Zelensky of being ungrateful for past US help, yelling, "You are not acting thankful at all," and warning he gambled with World War III. Zelensky fired back, saying Putin can't be trusted after breaking past deals. What kind of diplomacy are you talking about? He asked Vice President J.D. Vance, who joined Trump in scolding him. The argument ended with Trump cancelling a planned press conferences and telling Zelensky to leave, posting later on Truth Social that Zelensky disrespected America and wasn't ready for peace. Zelensky, shaken but defiant, told Fox News later that he still believes the US-Ukraine bond can be saved. For him, it's a desperate fight to keep his country alive. His peace idea, stopping Black Sea attacks, locking the front lines, and joining NATO, hasn't won Russia over. Moscow says no, promising to grab Ukrainian regions by the end of 2025. Europe's stepping up, Germany and France are sending more weapons, but it's nowhere near what the US used to give. Europe has stepped up, a Brussels expert says. This war is testing whether we can stand on our own. Part 3. Russia's long game. Russia is looking past this year. Defense Minister Andriy Belovesk, who took over in May 2024, has a 2-part goal. Control all of the Donetsk, Kherson, Luhansk and Zaporizhzhia by December, then gear up for a long showdown with NATO. To pull this off, Moscow's reshaping its economy, pouring money into weapons, tightening government control, and using captured Ukrainian land for workers and supplies. But it's not cheap. Sanctions have hit Russia's everyday economy hard, and losses on the battlefield are piling up. Experts guess 300,000 Russian soldiers have died or been hurt since 2022, a number that could spark trouble at home. Still, Putin calls it a fight for our way of life, firing up his supporters and cracking down on anyone who disagrees. But 4. Europe's dilemma. Europe's facing its worst security mess since World War II. The EU has sent 50 billion in weapons and aid, but not everyone agrees on what to do. Poland and the ballistic countries want to go all in, worried they're next in the line. Others like Hungary and Italy push for talks, scared of the economic hit. The war is also showing Europe's weak spots. Despite promises to spend more on defense, only Greece and Estonia hit NATO's 2% GDP goal. We're walking up too late, a French general admits. Russia's war is a loud alarm, but will we listen? Part 5. The human cost. Away from the big stories, the war's human price is huge. Over 10 million Ukrainians are still displaced, many in rough shelters as winter sets in, but they're not breaking. We're fighting for our kids tomorrow, says Kiwi teacher and running drones. The war's turned regular people into heroes. Maria, a 22-year-old engineer, builds attack drones in Lviv garage. I used to make robots for fun, she says. Now I make weapons to protect us. Stories like here shows Ukraine's changing, everyone stepping up, using every skill to stay alive. But will that be enough? Part 6. Global implication. The war's effects are hitting everywhere. China is jumping in while the West is distracted, teaming up with Russia, sending volunteers to Belarus and buying cheap Russian oil. In the Middle East, Iran's giving Moscow drones while Israel plays it careful, selling weapons to Kyiv but dodging a fight with Russia. Even space is a part of it now. Russia's quit the International Space Station and messed with Ukrainian satellites, kicking off a new kind of power struggle up there. The old rules are falling apart, a UN official says. We're heading into a world where strength decide everything, and deals shift fast. Part 7. The path ahead. What's next? Experts see 3 ways this could go. Number 1. Standoff. Ukraine holds its ground but can't take back lost land. The war drags on, wearing everyone out. Number 2. It's a deal. World pressure leads to talk, but trade-offs like letting occupied areas run themselves, leaving both sides unhappy. Number 3. There might be a bigger fight. Russia pushes into NATO land, setting off Article 5 and a wider war, leading to a World War III. It all depends on few things. Will the US start helping again? Can Europe pull together? How much will Putin risk? Right now, Ukraine's battling, not just for itself, but to prove that aggression doesn't win. As the sun sets, the world's watching. What started as a local war is now threatening to reshape the 21st century. Ukraine's fight mirrors our time, a clash of freedom versus control. Togetherness versus splits, hope versus fear. The next 15 days could shift history. The next 15 months will shape it. Do you support Ukraine or Russia? The dead people cannot come back, and people have to stop dying. We're wrapping up this report about the Ukraine war. What are your views about this? You can write them in comments below. Also, make sure you like, share and subscribe if you haven't already. And see you next time.